Are we ready? Okay. I will call the meeting to order. This is the Richfield Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting. And first item on the agenda is roll call.
HRA Chair Sandal.
Here.
Commissioner Quam.
Here.
Commissioner Gepner.
Here.
Commissioner Gotel.
Here.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the March 19th, 2012 meeting.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion or corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And the next item is a consideration of a request for the subordination of the HRA deferred loan at 7005 16th Avenue South. And staff, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, Chair Sandal, members of the HRA, this is really the only item on this evening's HRA regular meeting agenda. And again, it's a consideration for a request of a subordination on a Housing Redevelopment Authority deferred loan. And I'm going to ask Mr. Stark to make the presentation to the HRA on this particular item.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Cynthia Stone, who lives at 7005 16th Avenue, has requested a subordination of a $7,792.85 deferred loan, which she received on November 3rd, 2010. At 111%, the combined loan-to-value ratio of the new loan that she's seeking exceeds the Housing Redevelopment Authority's subordination and satisfaction policy limit of 80% and is therefore being brought to the HRA for consideration. The 2012 tax assessed value of Ms. Stone's property is $152,000, which is down 9.5% from the $168,000 that was assessed at in 2011. This reduction qualifies Ms. Stone for the Federal Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. HARP is a streamlined refinance program that allows homeowners who currently have an FHA-insured mortgage and are impacted by decreased property values the opportunity to refinance mortgages to secure better terms in order to help stabilize the housing market in the U.S. The HRA's deferred loan is currently in second position behind the primary mortgage with a current balance on the primary mortgage of $143,850 odd. Based on the value of $144,000 assigned by the HARP guidelines, the combined loan-to-value ratio, as stated, is 111%. Ms. Stone would like to refinance the superior mortgage into a new mortgage of $151,500, which includes the total balance of the first mortgage, closing costs, and prepaid items. The amount of debt in front of the HRA's lien will increase by $7,646, or 5%. The interest rate on the loan would be reduced from 6.375% to 4%, resulting in a savings of $300 per month. The refinancing Ms. Stone seeks reduces the interest rate and monthly payments. However, the combined loan-to-value ratio, as stated, is above the HRA's subordination satisfaction policy of 80%. Although the superior debt to the HRA's lien is increasing, it is still within the 50% increase permitted under the subordination and satisfaction policy guidelines. Ms. Stone's request meets all other requirements of the guidelines. Property taxes are current, no equity is being removed, closing costs are 2.9%, payment terms are within financial means of Ms. Stone, and no other subordinations have been granted in the last 5 years. Just a couple of things to add to the printed staff report. The HARP program is intended for people that are in imminent danger of losing their home because they're underwater and because they, without the refinancing, would likely not be able to continue making payments. So this is a fairly drastic situation. Secondly, the particular lender that Ms. Stone has been working with is subject to change. I know that she is perhaps talking to other lenders. So depending on how the HRA votes on this, if the HRA were to vote in favor of it, I would ask to vote in favor of it in a way that allows the chair to make slight modifications. The new lenders' numbers might be a percent different here or there, or their process might be a little bit different. So again, if that's something that the HRA would feel comfortable leaving in the chair's hands, the chair and executive director. The executive director reminds me. And then finally, I'm not sure if Ms. Stone is here tonight or not. She was made aware of tonight's meeting. So with that, I would take any questions you may have.
What and can you just explain what our risk would be as a city? And I know we've made decisions like this. First of all, I'm really glad to see that this is the first person I ever heard of getting HARP in the city of Richfield. First of all, it's nice to see that they're getting through to some of these people. But what is our risk?
Madam Chair and HRA members, our risk really is that we have more debt in front of us, and it decreases the likelihood that our debt would be repaid.
If the house is lost.
If the thing goes forward. On the other hand, the risk to us if we do nothing is that a foreclosure occurs on the property, in which case the secondary mortgage is more or less voided in the process, and the HRA would receive nothing. Mm-hmm. So it's trying to determine the lesser of two risks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there a motion to put this on the floor?
I'd like to move that we approve this pending with provisos that the chair and the executive director approve of any.
Your mic.
Excuse me. I'd like to move that this be accepted with the proviso that the chair and the executive director be satisfied with any minor adjustments to the terms of the loan.
Okay, I'll second that. So now we're open for discussion. Does anybody have any comments or anything they'd like to say? I guess I would second the mayor's comments in terms of our Richfield resident being able to take advantage of the federal program. It's a dramatic decrease in her $300 a month in her monthly payments is really wonderful. And she's going from 6.375% to a 4% rate. So it's going to make it more likely rather than less likely that she'll be able to continue making mortgage payments. And hopefully things will turn around and her property values will appreciate and we'll be back in a position of equity again.
Yeah.
So
I wish her the best as well. We want to try to keep people in their homes as best we can. I don't think we want more foreclosures. I don't think that's the direction of the HRA.
Madam
anyone
Chair,
else? Yes, Mr. Plum.
ordinarily I like to use the test as to whether or not we are in a better position or at least not worse position when we approve a subordination. In this case, I think the amount of risk change is negligible, but I have also seen others who have been able to get the HARP loan now, and I feel as though if our country is working at helping people stay in their homes, we ought to pitch in. And I just want to add that what's unique about the HARP program is that people who are underwater, as Mr. Stark said, this is about the only way that they can take advantage of these lower interest rates that exist now. Mm-hmm. And it isn't too hard to do. The new provisions of that HARP program are such that if anybody's sitting in that situation and they want to refinance, they really ought to look into that. So I'll be supportive.
Okay. Anyone else who wishes to comment? If not, we'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And next item is HRA discussion items. Is there anything in particular? If not, I will speak to
Madam
one
Chair.
issue. Yes, go ahead.
I just have one question of staff, and this pertains to a meeting that's coming up in the very near future, right after this meeting, and it pertains to the Pillsbury Commons project. And it's my understanding that the application that we had this meeting scheduled for has been withdrawn. First of all, is that correct?
Madam Chair, members of the HRA, let me respond to that. Yes, that's correct. I would like to not get much further into that in this
Okay.
particular meeting. It's not on the agenda.
Yes.
And you're right, though. And we'll
Okay.
be able to comment to that when the meeting starts.
I just want to pose a question that could be addressed at that meeting so that council has an opportunity to think about it. We had an March 2011 preliminary agreement with the developer. It provides for the opportunity to terminate that agreement if, in the opinion of the HRA, the project is not being pursued diligently. And with the withdrawals and so on that are happening at this point, I'm going to ask a question about whether that might be appropriate or when it would be. Thank you.
Thank you. I will add to that at the 7:30 meeting, we will have at least the city attorney here, probably more likely also the city and the HRA attorney.
Thank you.
Okay, and just because we have a large group of people who I think have a common interest in terms of Pillsbury Commons, just to confirm for people that are here, this is a very brief meeting of the HRA that starts at 7 and will be done as soon as we adjourn. And it's very possible it'll be done before the next meeting starts. So then you're free to roam about the country until the next meeting starts at 7:30. We are not allowed to start before the scheduled time because there may be someone else out there that saw the notice in the paper, and if they didn't show up till 7:30, they would be upset if we started early. So just so you know that. And then following the 7:30 meeting, we also have an 8 o'clock meeting, which I have somewhere in my pile, which is going to be dealing with the rental housing inventory needs assessment that the HRA purchased and is going to be reported back to the HRA, the City Council, and the Planning Commission. And that may be of interest to people if they want to stick around for that. Again, same thing happens. That meeting is not scheduled to start until 8 o'clock or following the 7:30 meeting. So if the 7:30 meeting ran long, it would start later than 8, but it will not start sooner than 8 for the same reason. So just so people are aware of that. Okay. Anything else for discussion items for the HRA? If not, Executive Director's report.
Madam Chair, members of the HRA, I just have a couple of quick things to report on. The first one is, and I'm going to probably be doing this during the course of the spring, is to remind folks that on June 2nd, we're going to have the building dedication for this City Hall, where we're going to open up the old time capsule that we got from the old City Hall and put the items in the new time capsule in this City Hall. And it's going to be about a 3-hour event that'll take place. I think it starts at something like 9 in the morning and goes till, noonish or a little bit somewhere in that vicinity. But I would encourage people to stop by for that. I want to report, I know I reported at this at least I think I did at the City Council meeting, but I want to report on it again for those who weren't listening. I've had, questions.
Are you suggesting the council might not
No,
have
not
been
the council.
listening?
I didn't mean the council.
Throw us under the bus.
For those who weren't. I could have worded that a little better, probably. For those except the City Council who may not have been listening, I've been getting questions periodically and calls about the post office, and what's going on, and when's the parking situation going to get better, et cetera, et cetera. And to that end, I have some news to report, but it's not great news. I've had a couple discussions with post office officials in Colorado who are in charge of managing not only the post office parking situation in Richfield, but I believe in other parts of the country. And they were trying to get some leases with the properties around the post office to get some temporary parking for their employees, which the last I drove by there were pretty much, I don't know if it's the employees parked on the street, but there sure are a lot of cars parked on the street. And it makes it kind of difficult to go around that area. They have not been successful in getting any other lease except a 2-month lease for 15 cars that they did with me for part of the Nature Center parking lot to kind of give that a test run to see how it goes. And it's the kind of the down part of the Nature Center parking lot closest to Lindale Avenue, and it's only during the daytime, so it would clear out when people would come in, typically and use it in the evenings. And after, we'll decide, I guess, what the city might want to do in terms of a longer-term lease if they want to. But, you know, I talked about the idea of, is there a chance they'd be willing to swap some kind of land or do something to change the configuration of the post office, maybe have a storefront somewhere else, take the, you know, the truck portion of it, move it to another area? And the answer flatly was, they have absolutely no money for any kind of capital build-out. That's absolutely not going to happen. The best we can hope for is that they find some lease space for cars. I think they're already using the 15-car lease that we've got engaged with them. So whatever you see out there is the best it's going to get, at least for the foreseeable future, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you for that report.
Is there any possibility that we as the city could help them maybe garner a few more spots, a few other places that we could, with our contacts? Mr. Stark?
Yes, Madam Chair and Commissioner Gotel, we have done that. We've put them in contact with all of the the owners of large parking lots in the
I would have thought the
vicinity.
back of the hub would have allowed that.
We thought the back of the hub, or
Yeah.
perhaps Lakeshore Drive condominiums would have a few, but there were nobody interested in leasing them other space.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Devich? No?
No.
Okay, claims and payrolls?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we have no further business on our 7 PM agenda, so this body stands adjourned until 7:30.